Welcome everyone who is
Hello.
Hey, Christian.
Good afternoon.
We are live. All right. Just welcoming everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, welcome everyone.
Hi.
Okay, I think we can start. I'm still admitting people. Welcome everybody to the InnMind VC Shark Tank Pitching Session dedicated to European FinTech startups. It's the first session for the traditional deal flow for the year 2022. And it's a pleasure having you all with us today. So just a reminder, or for those who don't know, the process of the session is the following. First, we will have, today we have a special guest. He will be introducing himself. Then we will have investors who will be speaking about their investment criteria. And after that, we will start the pitching. Startups can pitch. And in the end, investors are welcome to give their advice for startups on how to ameliorate their pitch decks or their pitching. So welcome again, everyone. I would like to welcome first our special guest. It's Philip from Switzerland. He is the president of SFTA. Welcome, Philip.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be part of this. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm in Zurich, and my role is I'm the president of the Swiss Finance and Technology Association. We have quite a good ecosystem. We have corporate members, startup members, we have investors, we have individual members, and we have a lot of student members because we're reaching out to the next generation of Swiss fintech entrepreneurs in universities, building their own companies and spinning them off. So we're working currently with 4 universities. By the end of 2022, we should be with about 10 universities. Right now it's Zurich, Lausanne, Basel, and so on. And I wanted to sort of jump onto this to observe, because we want to partner with InnMind. We want to bring what you're doing, your platform, to our members, and we can introduce some of our members to your pitching sessions and to your platform, and maybe you can bring some of your members that might be interested in joining our platform too. So that's the idea, to exchange.
That's for sure. It would be an honor for us to partner with you. And thank you again, Philip, for joining us today. I hope you will enjoy the session.
Me too. Thank you.
So I suggest that we start with investors. Investors can start presenting themselves. I would like to welcome Edward from London. Edward is a fintech and insurtech investor. He works at the Founders Factory. Welcome, Edward.
Hiya. Should I say something about what we focus on? It would be useful.
Yes, you joined us right now. So please just introduce us to your investment strategy and tell us more about your investment criteria, please.
Sure. So yeah, Founders Factory, in a nutshell, we are a corporate-backed venture studio and scale program investor. What that means is with Aviva, who are UK's biggest insurer, one of the biggest kind of wealth managers, and then biggest commercial property investor, we create from scratch 2 companies a year and invest and accelerate 5 others. Do that with a range of different corporates across beauty, travel, etc. And ideally looking for startups which kind of fit in with their areas of strength. So anything in insurance, anything in fintech around savings, wealth, pensions, retirement, and then anything around prop tech, around commercial property, home ownership, etc. In terms of stage, we go before pre-seed to before Series A. We invest kind of smaller cash checks, but the main value is we have a 70-person operations team who are all serial operators who cross product design, growth, engineering, fundraising, strategic partnerships, talent, legal, etc., who come on hands-on when we make an investment. And in terms of geography, we invest globally, but with a bias towards companies who are operating or will operate in the UK, Canada, or Ireland. So I think that might be me in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you so much. It's great having you with us today. I hope you will enjoy the session. Our next investor is Giovanni Bologna. He's a senior analyst. He works at Athos Capital in Spain. But I think Giovanni is a bit late for the session. I will be in touch with him. There are also other investors. There is Mike Watson, the CEO of Medium Invest. He is watching us offline. And he will be happy to get in touch with you. Here's Giovanni, just joined us. Hello, Giovanni. Giovanni, can you hear me? Okay, he's loading. Welcome, Giovanni. Welcome to the session. Okay, we have also IIGF, an analyst from IIGF watching us. Giovanni, can you hear me? Okay, I think there is a small problem with him. No problem, he will introduce himself later. Okay, he joined us. All right. Okay, I think we can start with the pitching. Once Giovanni will be with us, he will be introducing himself. So I'd like to start first with Yegor from Ukraine. Yegor is the CEO of Fintelex. Welcome, Yegor.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Are you ready to pitch?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, very well. So please, feel free
do
to
I have
share
a
your
screen
screen.
share? Okay, it is. So hi, everyone. Hello from Kyiv, Ukraine. My name is Igor Volovsky. I'm here to pitch Fintelex. Fintelex is CFO in an app made for small creative and IT agencies. And the first question is going to be why them? So long story short, the market has almost doubled in the last 5 years. There's more and more service agencies coming in the digital, IT, and creative sphere. But most of these companies are started by the specialists that are yet to become experienced entrepreneurs. So if you ask them the basic economy question, they don't have the answer. And moreover, usually they don't have somebody on the team who has the answer. And 9 out of 10 times, the function of the financial persona is delegated to Excel spreadsheet, which are quite a complicated thing to use for that matter, because it's quite manual process. It's related to a lot of insufficient and valid data. There's the poor prediction in this case, and the project finances, which are important to this business model, are very unclear. So this is why we are building a niche sector-specific app that can help this business model. So unlike the accounting apps that exist at our indirect competitor to the Fintelex, we stand in a different category of financial planning and analytics. And in this category, we are the only solution that can be used without the major financial experience or financial person on board. So first of all, we have the budgeting and financial projection, letting you do the swift and instant planning and let you know when the cash gap or the hard time is around the corner. Second is we automate cash flow using the power of open banking. We have 1,000+ banks available for the single click integration. So no more merging the banking statements in the middle of the night. And third, we have the cent accurate project finances, letting you do the accurate pricing for the project and avoid insignificant pricing in here. That is based on the data from the major time tracking. We have the vision of expanding this into the no-code financial management tool that can fully replace the actions and financial routine that is always made by human labor. And also we'd like to introduce the interpretation of this data in the nearest future as well. So we have a good mix of entrepreneurs and craftsmen in our team. Both me and my co-founder have 5+ years in service B2B business, me from the IT side and my partner from the digital marketing. So our traction is currently modest. We are in the private beta, so we are focusing on the quality feedback from our first early users. We have gained this traction from actually selling pre-subscription before the product was ready, just to test how bad this product will be wanted by the market. And we had some initial success in that. So monetization is relatively simple. We are kicking off with the subscription SaaS with the individual plan and planning to switch to the payment processing later. Our market value is 8.1 service obtainable, mostly in the countries with the most concentration of the service companies, such as Eastern Europe, UK, and Canada. So this CCC formula that we use to go into the market, that's content, communities, and collaboration, tools that this kind of IT and creative companies are using for themselves. And generally, the vision that we have is that we see that the Google Sheets is the benchmark for the financial management in these agencies. And we would like to make this picture complete, placing the Fintelex in the spot. So that's it in a nutshell. We are currently in the active pre-seed fundraising. So happy to have some productive talks on that.
Thank you so much, Igor, for the pitch. So investors, do you have questions for Igor?
I do. Is Giovanni going to intro himself? There we go.
Yes.
Is that what you were saying?
He can intro himself whenever he wants. Welcome, Giovanni.
Yeah, sorry. So thank you, and sorry for the delay. Yeah, I'm Giovanni from Athos Capital, Spanish VC. Office is in Madrid and Barcelona, but investing around Europe too. We invest between pre-seed and Series A, I would say. Minimum ticket of 100K, max of 1 million. And yeah, happy to be here.
Welcome, welcome. It's great to have guests from all over the world. And yeah, I mean, please, I believe you both listened to the pitch. So please, if you have any questions to Igor, please feel free.
My first one was just interested to hear why you focused on the digital creative as a kind of niche first, and interested to hear whether you think there's a big enough moat or around that group of users that the kind of more agnostic platforms which are looking to fill this gap won't be able to service them well enough, and that gives you your edge. So it was just interesting around why you picked that as a niche.
Well, there's multiple reasons for that. First one, that's my co-founder's experience. So we know this niche pretty well, and we know what kind of problem is going on, since the financial management is the last thing that these companies get to, because they need to cover the elite positions for like head of production, head of marketing, head of everything, and the head of financial goals in the last part. And the second important thing is that these kind of companies are perfect to be the early adopters. So we had done some comparisons with our colleagues from the startup community, what kind of audience is the best for the early users. And like if we compare to this, to some kind of guys who do like blue collar recruitment. So this would be the guys that would be really hard to bring to test the MVP. So we consider this digital business is very rapidly growing niche, because there's more and more companies entering this field. So it costs you nearly nothing to open the service agency. So it's really low threshold and quite substantial digital adoption. So that's what we think is relevant. And we think we can extend to the different business models in the future using this as the first base.
And then the other question was just because we have seen a number of kind of platforms which are looking to enable people to do that kind of financial management without deep finance skills. So Finmark, Scale Finance jump to mind as ones I've seen recently. So it'd be great to hear your view of that differentiation. Is it they aren't providing features that this audience needs? And interesting, how defensible do you think that kind of invoicing project management part of your software is?
Yeah, so we're in, we have seen these guys that you're talking about, and so we have found that there is a specific that is required by this kind of business model that we are addressing, and this specific is the billable hours and the pricing features that we enable, that we have in the first part, to enable these companies to maintain the profitable pricing for the project if this any kind of changes in the forecast is going on, if there's any kind of changes in this billable hours, if there's too much sick leaves of the company. So that will help these companies to maintain profitability on this projection kind of level. And this is what is very specific to this model. This is what we are focusing at. It's different from e-commerce. It's a little bit different from the B2C and marketplaces. So that would be the functional differentiation at this part, and that we find very useful during our customer development and our private beta currently.
I've got another one, but I know, Giovanni, I've been talking a lot. Happy to go with more, but
go ahead, please, Edward, because I've actually only heard the last few sentences of the pitch, unfortunately. Sorry,
yeah. All good. I've got two more, which is one, I know we have a business not in this space, but not too far away. I know they've struggled with the data that startups collect not always being accurate, you know, in accounting platforms. You know, it's reliant on startups and founders who are insanely busy keeping everything up to date, which in reality never is the case. So how is your platform built to deal with, you know, this huge variety of different ways in which accounting platforms, et cetera, will be up to date? Of course, I understand with the open banking, there's a little bit more, but yeah, that would be great to hear.
Yeah, so first of all, if we speak about the cash flow management feature, that is indeed reliant on the open banking. So there is no need to add the manual transaction. Just if you have an internal move of funds, you can specify that this has been the internal transaction. So basically, this the only thing that you need to do. So we can help you with that one. That's considered to be the biggest time killer in the financial management that we have seen. So the other thing would be placing the recurring items on the budgeting. So if you're doing financial projection and you have things that are recurring, you can just set them all the way into the future and just make some changes if you're having any kind of promotion in so that affects your payroll. If you're having any kind of pricing changes in your subscription software. So that will simplify this process of filling in the data, since the invalid data is indeed the problem in many of the financial management cases.
Okay, awesome. And then last one is just around your distribution, because obviously by the sounds of it, you're going after SMEs. We have a number of experience with startups, you know, selling different financial products to SMEs, and it's a brutal route to market. So would just be great to hear more around your experience with acquiring your kind of early beta customers and what you've learned from that, and kind of what the longer term strategy is for acquiring them.
Yeah, so we are not focused at Ukrainian customers that much. So we have parts of R&D that is in Ukraine. We are incorporated in Estonia, so I'm personally spending some time between Kiev and sorry,
maybe it's an acronym we're using, that SME, so like small businesses rather than in Ukraine. So I was saying, sorry, that it felt like you were targeting small, you know, creative businesses, etc. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if we are speaking about our buyer persona, we would say that this would be the company up to 50 people. So we have some portrait that whom are we targeting. So mostly this would be the companies that don't have the financial persona on board. So acquiring this customer is a tricky business, but we have used the content and kind of edutainment tools to bring these people on board. Even that we have relatively low or no marketing budget at this point, we have seen the people coming from the organic. So we can say that this is related to the niche focus, which attracts a lot of companies because they don't find relevant specific in other tool. What we will be focused at in terms of acquisition after our private beta would be the focus on the inbounds, on the contents, and on the edutainment kind of materials that we would like to bring to the market, because these companies are looking for the expertise in some form or another. They don't have the time to spend too much on this one, but they would like to have a clue what's going on and something to help them. So that will come, and we are thinking about the extensive outbound. So once we will be able to move into kind of pro version of the product that we can bring to the bigger kind of companies in the nearest future.
Well, that was all from me. Thank you.
Hey,
thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. And now I'd like to welcome Gabrielle. She's the co-founder of Proteus Finance. She's from Lithuania. Welcome, Gabrielle.
Hi, guys. Great to see you. Just sharing the screen in a second. Yeah, I hope you can.
Yes.
Hi everyone. Great to see you all here. So I would like to present today a Proteus Finance. So the story here is quite simple. Me and another co-founder, Lucas, we started investing into DeFi, into different liquidity pools last year. And yeah, we basically found out that it's quite complicated to do it yourself manually. You know, you need to load your money into exchange, then you need to swap into different coins. So that takes a lot of time and you never know exactly what is happening in those LPs. So we decided to create a Proteus Finance to simplify this process and to have a one-stop shop where you have all the liquidity pools and you can invest by one click. Yeah, so what Proteus does and how it works. So first you need either buy or deposit the stable coins into the Proteus Finance product. Then what happens next? So we automatically invest those stable coins into the most profitable Terra strategies. We are building everything on Terra Luna ecosystem, and then we generate returns, we yield for our users, and then we allow to cash out via debit card. So Proteus in detail. So the first point here, the most important, I think, that it analyzes all the possible protocols and it picks the most profitable one. Also, it manages impermanent loss for the users, which is the biggest issue, I think, in DeFi. And we allow to cash out all the returns at any time. We don't have any intentions, let's say, to lock user stable coins for a very long time. So this is the concept of Proteus. This is how our product works. So first you need to have a stable coins, then we swap everything to Terra USD, and then we swap to the native tokens in the protocol of the chosen block. So that's pretty much how it works. Now we're going to have insurance here because we hear our users. We are saying, how about any losses if I will have some of them? So we will protect our users from a permanent loss by repaying them from the insurance pool. The insurance pool will account to 20% of our all token supply. So we will be repaying to our users. Now the utility of our token, of course, we're going to issue our token by the end of February. So the most important utility, I think, is here our exclusive strategies. What does it mean? It means that we are collaborating with a guy who has over 160K subscribers on his Twitter account, and he's making a lot of different strategies how to invest in liquidity pools. So he is creating those strategies and we will be automating them. So if you want to access that strategy, you need to buy and hold Proteus token. Also, we are having here insurance, as I already mentioned. So you need to buy Proteus token again if you want insurance. And also the crypto loan, so it works as a collateral. The more you have of our Proteus token, the more of the loan you can get. So our business model, so we'll be earning from transactions and conversions fees. This is our projected revenue. This is very rough estimation in a very short period of time. This is a standard what is happening in Terra Luna ecosystem. Of course, everything depends on the crypto market, how it's going to look like in September, but this is our estimation at the moment. Our token distribution, so we have 8% for a seed round, 4% for our public round. We already have Terra launchpad confirmed for the first week of March. So we're launching our token. We have 20% for a team, 20% for insurance, and liquidity 6%. And we have a small allocation for advisors, for people who are gambling out. And I think our team vesting period is the longest because for us it's a long game. So our competitors, we have two main competitors. I think here it's Orion Money and the Yield app. The difference is here that we can provide the highest yields. No one can compare with ours on Terra Luna at the moment. And none of those products we are not offering any debit cards at the moment, and we will be offering them. So I think we can change a game here quite a lot. So our roadmap. So in April we have integration with all the Terra Luna protocols, and we will be providing the debit card starting in Europe because the regulation in Europe the most favorable. Next year maybe we could be providing to US, but I think that's too early. To start that. Yeah, so we have a few partners very briefly. So we have a Kado Money for on-ramp solution. We have Rango DEX for swapping between different chains. And we will be using a Spectrum protocol to access all the Terra Luna protocols and auto compounding. So that's a way how we can provide those yields over 100%. And also we will be using a spot bot here because we want to control impermanent loss. So yeah, we have a spot bot working in a way that it sells out all the assets if, let's say, the token price drops more than 6%. So yeah, that's how we will be controlling that. Yeah, we have a few YouTubers who are helping us out with promotion. One of them has over 200K subscribers. Yeah, and this is our team. So we have 3 co-founders. So it's me, Lucas, and Todd. My background is finance/data science. I finished my master's in Copenhagen Business School. I was studying there. Lucas had a few startups before. He already sold them. So he's doing now Proteus Finance. Piotr is our tech lead. He has over 15 years of experience in software development. So he's talking with our blockchain developers. We have Maria for branding. We have a few people coming from Tesla company. Yeah, I think all the time we have a very good spirit how to start a thing. So we invited them. And we have a Richard. He is from DWeb3. He just joined recently. So he is our strategic advisor. And we have our in-house developers team. And this is our investment schedule. So we are running our seed round. Minimum investment is 50K. And our public round is in March. And we have over 1 million already raised. Yeah, so that's pretty much about us.
Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you. So investors, do you have questions for Gabriel?
Shall I start, Edward, this time? Thanks, Gabriel, for the presentation and congrats on the project. So a couple of questions. One more, I wouldn't say philosophical, but on the concept of making crypto accessible to anybody, which I think it's a pretty good concept. But you were mentioning that you have some competition. There are a few competitors out there. You are winning, or you will be winning users on the basis of your return. How will you be able to maintain those returns?
You mean you're talking about returns about the yield of percentage?
The yield, exactly.
Yeah. Good question, very good question. Yeah, so we understand that the yields are not going to stay forever. We are not the same every day. That's very true. But this is the, the improvement that we are doing here. So we'll be switching, all the assets of our users between different liquidity pools. So let's take an example. Let's take Nexus and Prism protocol. So let's say if the yield of the Nexus protocol is dropping, then we switch everything to the Prism protocol. So we are trading, so to say, between different liquidity pools. And that's a way how you can stay competitive all the time in the market. We understand that it's not going to stay forever, but if you at that time you can provide the highest yield, so that's how you stay competitive,
And how reliant are you on the person you were mentioning in respect to the investment strategy?
Yeah, he is our, let's say, brains of the of the project, of the product.
Okay, so basically there is a
signed and yeah.
So there's this person behind it. Will you kind of automatize or create some rules which will power maybe an algorithm which will then look for investments strategy in the future?
I'm not sure if I understood your question correctly. What do you mean by?
So how reliant are you on basically this person, which is a natural person, yeah. And how will you be able to carry on investing in a good enough way to keep on having a lot of users, even in the case this person would leave the company, basically?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we have two parts here. We have those exclusive strategies, which are part of the product. So those strategies are very exclusive. We have over 150, let's say, % of API that we could offer. And another part of the business is that we do automatic trading between different liquidity pools. So we are not reliant on any, real person. We are just reliant on Terra Luna ecosystem here. So that's just a part of the business because we want to offer those very exclusive strategies and we want to utilize our token as well, if I answered your question.
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Awesome. Nice to meet you too. Really interesting proposition. So the first question, because I do stable coins and yield farm. And so just my understanding is obviously the higher the return, the greater the risk. And in terms of kind of permanent loss, not just the kind of impermanent loss. And actually it'd be great to just focus on that impermanent loss first, because from my understanding, impermanent loss is where the value of what you've invested into that yield pool goes down. But obviously if I'm investing stable coins, there isn't a risk of impermanent loss, but is the idea because you're then converting those stable coins into tokens which aren't pegged to a fiat currency. Is that what you're protecting against there?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And then on the side of the permanent loss, where you are investing these stable coins into potentially quite risky, I saw on your website 150%. And, right now, if you're looking for like stable coin where it's like 10, 12% is the max you can get. So how are you judging how risky projects are? Because I haven't heard of anyone being able to really do that at scale.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, let's take a Nexus protocol, liquidity pool, PSI and Luna. That's quite risky because both of the tokens it might decrease in a value quite a lot. And as we saw, the PSI token it dropped, I think, for 40 cents all the way down to 5 cents. So imagine those people who put into liquidity pool when it was 40 cents of PSI token, they have a lot of impermanent loss at the moment. So what we will be doing here, we have that trading bot that indicates for you the support levels. So it says for you when is the right time to buy the token, let's say a PSI token, and if it drops more than 6%, it sells those assets and then move everything to another liquidity pool. So we don't want to wait, until the token price drops, let's say 80% or something, even more ridiculous. And we are just simply having this bot that indicates the support levels. So that's how we control impermanent loss.
And one more for me would just be, obviously there are some huge players in the space, BlockFi raised 300 whatever billion, Celsius, Nexo, even people like CoinLoan, etc. So, and of course, a lot of what they're doing is not this kind of yield farming, it's more staking. But it'd be interesting to hear your strategy of how you compete with them long term when they've got a lot of money. And it feels like obviously there's some really interesting strategies, but you're using a lot of third-party tooling. So it'd be interesting to hear your vision of that kind of defensibility long term, if possible.
Yeah, sure. The interesting thing is here that we already have investors coming from Celsius and BlockFi, so that's quite interesting. Yeah, but how I would see, I think we can compete with the percentage of API that we can offer. That's for sure. And also, I would like you to see this business as we are bridging a CeFi and DeFi here. So what I mean by this? So first, we are starting with a CeFi version, because I really believe that there's much larger market for CeFi. That's no doubt. So we are starting with this version where you can just click one button, invest, and then your money and your stable coins goes to the liquidity pools. And we always show to a person in which liquidity pool at the moment your stable coins are, because we want to be transparent as much as possible. That shouldn't be a secret where your stable coins are. So that's a CeFi version. Later, we will move to a DeFi version where you can connect with your wallet and you can select the liquidity pool you want to invest in, because we want to keep this option for more tech savvy people, and also with a trend of Web3, we want to keep this possibility for people. So I think that's how I would see us next to Celsius, let's say.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Those are my main ones.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for the questions, for the answers. And Yeah, I mean, just a reminder that I'll be sending to investors all the pitch decks, and we'll look forward to their feedback and to put you in contact, everyone.
Sure. Cool.
So yeah, welcome. So our next guest is from the Netherlands. I have two guests actually, Arseny and Jonathan. Arseny is the CTO of mBank. I guess Jonathan is the CEO. Welcome both of you. Are you ready to pitch?
Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan is actually dialing in from Paris, where he's based, but close by, 3.5 hours on plane. On a train. I'm trying to share my screen. Could you please let me know if you can see it?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, it's asking for permissions. Okay, just a second. This should eventually work.
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, my name is Arseny. I'm one of the founders of mBank, which is a digital bank which converges investment accounts and current accounts. The problem which we're trying to solve is fairly simple. Millennials and Gen Z currently in the Netherlands, but also all the way across Western and Central Europe, unfortunately cannot enjoy the fat gross savings returns of 5, 6, 7% as their parents did. And at the same time, they do have savings which are generating negative returns even before inflation. And at the same time, they have, not a lot of them actually have an investment account. Fewer than 1 in 10 people below 35 years of age in the Netherlands actually have an investment account. And there are a few reasons for that. One is a pretty obvious one, and that is the lack of trust, neither to the traditional financial institutions, should it be banks or online brokers or wealth managers, or those who have actually burned their hands on crypto, for example. The second one is the perceived lack of awareness and the perceived lack of time, because investing does require time, obviously. And the third one is the investment phenomena, where if you actually want to have money, if you want to make money, then you actually have to have money. And traditional investment solutions do require some capital to start investing with. And we're breaking those barriers by being honest, as in transparent, easy, and accessible. In a traditional investment cycle, if you're thinking about converting cash to assets to cash, you would be dealing with your investment account, which would sit with your bank or your online broker. And then whenever you would need access to cash, you would have to divest, wait for settlement, and only eventually transfer money to your checking account and then spend it. And sometimes it takes up to 7 days with certain providers, with certain banks, with certain wealth managers. With us, the investment is always 24/7 available as cash for you to spend. We're looking at a few markets here, starting off in the Netherlands, primarily because of our experience, which I will talk about later, and then going wider into Europe, into Germany, France, and then the whole of EU, targeting primarily those who belong to millennials or Gen Z generations. The team is actually experienced in building similar solutions. First of all, of course, Priddle, where myself and Jonathan, we were partners, and that is still the only robo-advisor exit in Europe after 4 years. Christian has a lot of experience both on the public side with policymaking, but also on the private side, creating new propositions in the investment space across Europe. Making money is a pretty straightforward situation here, because a lot of digital banks are doing the same, and that is a monthly service fee, in the same way Revolut and N26s and Bunks are doing that. And it's also a daily performance fee with high watermark on the invested accounts. And another big opportunity for us is the B2B revenue stream, where we could license technology to banks, credit card companies, BNPL providers, you name it. What we're raising for is a few things, and the first one on the list, and It's obviously the most expensive one, and at the same time, the hardest asset and also probably the most liquid asset. That is the legal licensing and regulatory setup across Europe, both in the payments and investment space. The second one is a pretty trivial one for us because we have done that before. That is building the actual investment services, mobile applications, and the rest actually consuming from the ecosystem, software as a services, and building orchestration layers. And obviously launching in the Netherlands and operating for the first few months. The exit strategy, again, is a pretty conventional one. We're looking at minimizing the cost of acquisition and lifetime revenue, growing lifetime revenue, because we actually have experience doing that in the banks for investors or wealth managers, and thus expand across Europe through European passporting primarily, and at satisfactory levels of market penetration, looking at the IPO or trade sale of main options. Super happy to discuss any further details and more details about how exactly we're doing things by email or anyhow else. Thanks a lot for your time, and that is, I think, exactly 5 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Arseny. Investors, please, if you have questions, feel free to ask.
Should I jump first this time, Giovanni, or do you want to?
Go ahead, please, Edward.
We'll swap either or. I have to say, as an investor in the UK, I was very sad to see that map of Europe without the UK on it at one point in the middle. Question for another time. Anyway, well, yeah, really great to hear your pitch. I should say all the questions and knowledge I have are quite UK centric. Maybe some questions I ask which don't make sense in that sense.
No problem.
So interesting when you were saying it takes a lot of time for the traditional investment cycle. You know, it takes 10 days for me to get my money out. But of course, if you're using something like a Robinhood or a Plum or a Moneybox, there may be 1 day withdrawal, instant withdrawal. So again, that may be me not understanding the landscape in other European markets, but it would be interesting to hear your thought on that and that kind of competition in terms of speed of engagement.
I think relevant example with, for example, Robinhood or the others, indeed the brokerages have taken a lot of steps towards making cash accessible as fast as possible. But for example, if you're trying to trade in the evening on Friday, and I'm talking about conventional asset classes which are traded on exchanges, you will hardly ever get your cash on the account, on your current account, on Monday, right? That's most likely not going to happen. Weekends are absolutely off. So the same thing applies to a lot of things related to robo-advisories, online wealth managers, and others who are investing in mutual funds, for example, where if you're investing in emerging markets and then it is a Chinese New Year, then you can wait for up to 14 days for the money to be divested. So the strides are being made towards making money instantly available, indeed. But with brokerages, it is much more difficult, primarily because that is not in their interest to make cash available as soon as possible to the clients. And with the wealth managers, it is just a lack of understanding of how that can be done efficiently and quickly. So a great question, and I think that is a great challenge as well, but especially in Europe, that problem still exists.
Okay, awesome. That's very useful. Thank you. And the other one is we've looked at a number of kind of B2C fintechs around the kind of investment space, both around kind of people looking to sit between the robo-advisors and free trade, a number of others, and always struggled a little bit with the kind of cost for acquiring customers, just because there are a huge number of people looking to acquire customers for different but similar space propositions. So it'd be really interesting to hear around, and I couldn't see in the deck whether you've already acquired customers, but if you have, how you've done that and how you're looking to do that going forwards.
Yeah, that's an absolutely valid question, coming again from the experience of having built a robo-advisory before, working greatly on lowering CAC. That's the greatest problem of anything that has to do with the investment space. For us, we see ways of simplifying that. First of all is the fact that it is actually not necessarily an investment account, right? It is a current account. And cost of acquisition for a digital bank is dramatically lower than it is for an investment firm. It is magnitudes lower, right? It's times lower. That is item number one. Item number two, the CAC strategy, the in general customer acquisition strategies, as we have seen that, for example, with sizable banks for investors in the Netherlands, for example, those strategies are absolutely inefficient. So the actual CAC is high, but it's also how exactly that money is being spent, lack of use of digital channels or the wrong use of digital channels. A lot of those errors we have actually observed ourselves and witnessed ourselves. So our situation is slightly different, right? We're not trying to play in the space of a purely investment firm, because that is a very challenging business, right? And that's where you actually have to onboard a customer and rely on the lifetime revenue. We're more looking at the space of a digital bank where we're effectively selling a current account, right? It's very similar to what Revoluts are doing or N26s are doing, all those guys. So that challenge exists, absolutely, but we're sure that we can make CAC dramatically lower than it is currently for any of the investment firms or investor banks, stuff like that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Giovanni, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Edward. Thank you, Arseny, on the presentation and on the answers. On this last point that you mentioned, so targeting clients, it's a similar play as that of Revolut in terms of concept, say for the investment part. So, are you planning to go kind of B2B2C as well? So, to partner with the Revolut, etc., rather than going after the same users?
Exactly. We primarily see B2C experience as the way to actually, first of all, build out the operational process around it, make sure that we can control cost. And that is one of the major issues, obviously, in things related to investment management. So your cost of investment has to be as low as possible to actually make sure that you're creating returns. And our strategy is to make sure that we can do that for a segment of users, live users in the B2C space, and then license technology primarily without doing any kind of banking as a service services, but rather licensing technology primarily. First of all, to BNPL providers, where there's a lot of cash sitting in accounts not activated. Second, credit card companies, which is a very similar situation, right? So there's quite a lot of capital, quite a lot of cash sitting in the accounts, not utilized, for example, in deposits or waiting for authorization holds to clear, and so on and so forth. And the third one is the larger banks, where we could actually be looking at a banking as a service proposition, because they're just unable to operate a slim investment operation at scale, right? That just never happens. It's an army of risk and compliance people. It's an army of legal people. It's very strict and very low risk appetite. So that's exactly one of our strategies. Absolutely, B2B2C or even directly B2B without the C component.
This let me just jump in. This also sort of confirms the experience that we had with Prittle, is that we validated our B2C model, and we were able to hone that model, and then gradually we were attracting more and more interest from in the B2B2C channels.
Understood. Got it. Thanks for the answer. And then one final question on the investment strategy. So how do you make the magic of having the cash available 24/7? And a little bit on the investment side, how will the user be able to select which investment strategy? Is it going to be traditional investment strategies or?
Yeah, so there are two parts of the secret sauce which relates to 24/7 availability of cash. One is the ability to actually trade ETFs 24/7, and that is now possible with the larger liquidity providers. And I'm speaking primarily about large ETF houses. That is situation number one. Situation number two is the ability to actually predict expenditure in principle, and that is the next step in building out the product. And that's why we actually need live user data, for example, to actually know the behavioral economics of those individuals and know, for example, when they have a standing order or when they have to pay rent or whatever, and thus settle before the required dates. And the second thing is the opportunity to actually trade mutual funds without any transaction cost. And that is a very serious proposition because obviously transaction costs are eating out a lot of returns, either on the investor's side or on the company side, whatever, vendor side, doesn't really matter. But we actually have an ability to create mutual funds with zero transaction cost. And another very important thing, because of the unique ability to set things up in a very special regulatory setup in the Netherlands, with the local custodial setup, so without actually using custodian services, this also dramatically brings costs down, first of all, and second, makes the overall cash flows much more predictable.
Okay, thanks. Very interesting. I mean, we could, I guess, go on and on, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
So definitely, I think we will have a chat after the session. So I would be happy to introduce you to each other, everyone. And thank you again, everyone. So I'll welcome our next guest from Switzerland. It's Henry. He's the CEO of Crypto Easy. Welcome, Henry.
Thank you. Happy to be here tonight. Let me share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Fantastic. So, Crypto Easy is basically DeFi technology, DeFi interface centered on profiles and portfolios. So how we approached and analyzed the market, we see a huge gap between the real side, where people still rely on analog or not systematic solution to design portfolios, to also know what assets to include in that diversified market. And on the other hand, technology, especially for instance, DEXs and pools that become very standard, very commodity, but that are not personalized and adapted to the profiles. And we see this gap staying, and we see a lot of fragmented ecosystems that are not answering this need. So the approach we are taking is in 3 steps. For the first step, we start on the profiles to help users to build a profile, understand, and also educate themselves about what is part of the ecosystem. We rely here on providers also of such metrics. Imagine, for instance, the CoinGecko, but we really make it personalized and we make it accessible to really design simply the profile. And on the background, we have a ranking algorithm that then proposes to them portfolios, a series of portfolios that we don't design, but that community design. Sort of eToro, where people design portfolios, maintain them, they can be managed, they can be static, and they are accessible in this marketplace of portfolios. And users can then customize the portfolios, take ones that are managed, and then get exposure to that. And where we are quite innovative is in the exposure technology. So we are calling it portfolio staking and portfolio minting. Staking is the consensus mechanism that you are building on Tezos via the Easy token, that is our governance token, which actually incentivizes portfolios that have a good return, proof of return, so they have a good return, and disincentivizes portfolios that have no return. This makes it a real marketplace. So it's not Crypto Easy that is selecting here the portfolios, right? And this gives an incentive. So this creates actually the emission of Easy tokens. Your portfolio earns 10%, we will mint 10% Easy tokens. The portfolio loses 10%, and we destroy Easy tokens. I guess we can go in more details during the Q&A, but basically we align in this way the value locked with the supply. On top of that, this portfolio that you stake, when you stake your funds to those portfolios, acts like a vault, and you can mint synthetics. Then institutional investors can then trade, and those synthetics are backed by the funds deposited to it, right? And this entire thing enables you to build any type of portfolio, any type of assets. So we can include alternative assets, NFTs, securities, where really our edge relies here is on the Oracle. So we have methodologies for each asset class, and then we enable to have exposure to any type of portfolio. Then our community, our partner ecosystem can build for us. And that's also why it's really an open ecosystem, as is our partners. Imagine asset management, banks, bots that can design, manage those portfolios. They can charge a fee, and we just provide the interface. So we here tech player, we don't try to become a financial company. The next step, and that's a solution we will build in a later stage, right? It's not something direct, but once we have the profiles and when we have the portfolios, we have an advantage over many of the other interfaces that try to achieve the same goal. They start with this kind of dashboarding experience. We come later with based on the profiles and portfolios. And then we offer this aggregate, you offer the user journey, we connect with different ecosystems, we connect with different DeFi technology, but that comes at a later stage. In terms of business model, The profiling experience, right? The portfolio setup is free access. There is no login need. It's a gamified interface where our business model relies on two pillars. First one is on the portfolio staking as well as on the minting. We charge a flat fee as well as a fee on the performance we were charged by our partners. And then on the B2B side, of course, everything related to referrals, to also exposing our Oracle, it's kind of a side revenue, as well as referrals and commissions. In terms of customers, we start totally as a B2C, and then we will use our partners to also acquire traffic and also generate indirect revenues. We see three main groups. So the DeFi investors that will leverage the portfolio explorer to analyze portfolios in deep, for instance, do back testing. They will also propose portfolios. So they will be very active in the portfolio staking and use the governance token to its full extent. Then there will be more the institutional investors that will trade those synthetics and leverage them in their own portfolios to offer to other investors. And the last will be the mainstream investor that will really like this kind of onboarding education experience as a kind of entry door to digital assets, right? And this is how we want to acquire over time those three user segments. In terms of positioning, well, it's quite, as an interface, we're quite unique as we enable to put any asset class in what we call portfolio staking. So any asset class can be included, any type of assets, not just assets that are based on Tezos, as we're based on the Tezos blockchain, or even single pools or single assets. We can really put anything in those portfolios. We're also non-custodial. That helps. So from a regulatory perspective, we are not a brokerage, we're not an asset management. We work with partners, right? In terms of interface and personalization, as we start from the profiles and the portfolios, it's really a different experience than major tech players here that do not offer this personalized, customized approach to users. In terms of achievements so far, so it's a relatively young project. We started in the summer. We started with an IDO raising 200K, which is a substantial amount on the Tezos blockchain. It's a smaller ecosystem. So it's still something remarkable. We also built already a DApp staking pools on Tezos. So it's a live product that also has attracted all this community. So it's kind of a good bootstrap for us also to test the use case, to have a strong community behind us, to also test our detailed white paper that explains also the portfolio staking and all the consensus mechanism in all details, right? A small note here on the team. We have the chance to work also with Benoit, which is very experienced, one of the leading developers in the Tezos ecosystem. So part of the biggest projects there. So we're quite confident also that we can build on this scalable blockchain, even if it's more of a niche blockchain. We also see it as very scalable, right? So our full use case can work as a few K of fees, transaction costs. So it's something very scalable. So we're quite happy with this technical team, as well as balance also with more designer and business profiles. Yes, that's it for our pitch. So as said, we are raising 1.5 million for this seed round that will enable to scale in terms of technical development as well as our business development, as we are needed a lot as a B2C business. I would add that we are welcome here to any investors.
Thank you, Henry. So investors, any questions to Henry?
Okay, thank you, Henry, for the presentation. I think we cannot see all the faces. Yeah, now yes. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Henry. So, I mean, very interesting product in terms of positioning. And target clients. So you were mentioning that you are going to target three kind of target clients now: experts, institution, and then mainstream investors. Is it going to be like on a let's say first you're going to target experts, then the second group, then the third one, or the three at the time? And this is the first part of the question, which is related to the second part that I'll tell you in a moment.
Absolutely. So realistically, we know that first we will start more with DeFi investors, right? That are not the perfect ideal fit. Our own end fit is really mainstream investors that like the full experience we're offering, but we need to be realistic, right? So not to go in detail and the go-to-market, but we will start with those DeFi investors. This will also be great to test our product, to get the data we need to really have the profiling and the portfolio experience top notch, right? So that's why we're realistic. These investors will also appreciate, as we have this governance token, to use this token to the full extent, to mint synthetic, to play around, to give us that kind of feedback, and to be mature for institutional investors as well as for mainstream investors, right? So it's indeed in 3 stages.
Okay, got it. And the second part is related to, I mean, one of the companies we've seen before, Proteus, and that kind of approach to crypto. I understand that approach goes more towards mainstream investors, or actually, people not so familiar with crypto. Do you think that by the time you as Crypto Easy reach that vertical, that target clients, these target clients will have already gotten used to the play of the Proteus or the like? I don't know if it's clear enough, my question.
It's a very good question. Many have this ambition, right, to go for the mainstream and to build some all-in-one Swiss knife interface. I think we don't want to go the same approach with 2 main things. First, it's really open ecosystem. We think that empowering people with their addresses, right, and not just blocking them and giving them a reward or an API. I think that's taking people for stupid, not understanding the opportunities, right? So I would say here that's how we really differentiate. The other thing is open ecosystem that offers different ways. So a user comes, gets set up a portfolio. There are many ways to get exposure. So we don't limit here the options. And that's why we also have a very open approach to any DeFi technology, to any DeFi providers, to traditional financial providers, to give that exposure. Right? A user wants to only have synthetics are fine. A user wants to have a custody, own the asset, we can also go that way, right? So we really, once we have the profile in the portfolio, we can really plug with different partners from the ecosystem, right? And they can be, so we really empower users there to choose and to be adapted to them, right? The second thing where we really differentiate is with this idea of portfolio staking. I think it's quite unique, and it's a new consensus mechanism, right? Built on top of Athos. So this is quite unique, right? Where the monetary supply of the Easy token follows the one of the underlying market, right? And we have an entire tokenomics to also track this, to not have hyperinflation, for instance. So this is very innovative in that sense, right? So 2 differentiators.
Thank you, Henry.
Hi, Henry. Thank you for that. So yeah, would love to actually hear a bit more around the minting side, because I remember you kind of because yeah, when I've heard about minting previously, and this is just something I don't know so much about in the space, it's more around proof of work, proof of ownership, etc. So how is that working where you are, by my memory of your pitch, minting portfolios and generating returns from that? I may have missed that, but it would be great to get a little bit more on that if possible.
Fair enough. And we have been talking to many experts, and there was a war of terminology, right? And probably we'll not call it like this for end users. So the idea is when you say you have a portfolio, right? You will put a stable coin in it combined with the Easy token that has also benefits. You will lock those funds, right? That's why you stake. And you can have the option then to mint synthetics, meaning that for a certain amount, it will be over collateralized. You can print the assets of the portfolio, right? So imagine your portfolio, you have a Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some NFTs, you will have synthetic elements of this portfolio. These synthetic elements, you can keep them, you can trade them away, but of course, we don't create money out of nothing, meaning that if you want to get back your what you put in the portfolio, you need to burn those synthetics. Okay. The idea here is that you can trade and you can earn on the synthetics as well, choosing the right portfolios on the staking. Right. So you have the lever of the staking and the lever of the minting. Those synthetics.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Sorry, I thought you were about to say something. And then the only other thing, and they may be linked, was you were talking around the community input into the kind of strategies and fund models. So it'd be interesting to hear how users are assigned to the best kind of strategy for them. Is this like a rules-based system that you guys have trained, or how in the background is it going? For me, Edward should have this from this in the community, etc.
Yeah, we have a demo video about the entire experience we will share in the deck after. But the idea is that it's a simple questionnaire, right? That you can also skip. But basically, you define your risk exposure, what type of portfolio diversification you want. So it's basic set of questions that are also best practices. Then you also put your interests and values, right? Something like sustainability is important to you, or are you interested in particularly cost systems? You also have the option to customize to also tell what assets you want to be included, right? And then you land on the Portfolio Explorer. As said, you can also directly go to that Portfolio Explorer, which you can see here on the screen. And that's basically a marketplace. You can also have filters to say, okay, I want DeFi project, I want NFT project, I want only the top 10. And then you can choose, you can really choose the portfolios. But basically, we try to have one or two that are best matched for you. And then you can double click on the portfolio and also see the performance. You see who is managing this, right? Is it an actively managed portfolio or it's a static portfolio? So you have all of the things you can check. And also to connect, simple users will really like this experience to have, okay, give me a few portfolios that are trending right now. More advanced users, we also like to research portfolios to also check the kind of performance of these portfolios, right? To do backtesting, this kind of things. So our interface can address both. And this is also one of the beauties of it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Any more questions? All right. Thank you again, everyone. Now I'd like to welcome George from Greece. George is the CEO and founder of Ultimon Capital. Welcome, George.
Thank you, Mark.
Are you ready to pitch?
Of course.
Right, perfect.
Ultimon Capital is the prop firm that does not charge anything for the challenge. The challenge is a standard procedure that every proprietary trading firm is requiring from its users, its traders. And basically, the traders are given a small amount of capital, which is fake money, and they are required to bring this account to a 10% profit within 30 trading days. After they pass the challenge, then they can trade with live accounts and real money. So by eliminating the fee to enter the challenge, which is about 100 to 200 euros, we are finding talent wherever talent may be found. So let me explain. By putting a charge to the traders to pass the challenge on a demo account, which demo accounts cost nothing for the prop trading firms, we believe that this is they take advantage of the traders, because the traders, in order to see if they are able to perform well on the trading arena, this should cost nothing. So this creates a locked market, because the traders who do not want to pay again and again to pass the challenge, they do not even try, and they might be very good traders, and nobody will ever know. So what we are doing here, we are eliminating the entry fee, because it doesn't cost anything for us as well, and we are also creating a trader performance evaluation, a scorecard, so that all our visitors can see how our top traders are performing. So this would be the traders who pass the challenge and go on to trade with live accounts. By showing to the world how our traders are performing, we attract more investors to invest on our top performing traders. Because trust me, if a trader is showing consistent results, then people are going to trust them with their money to generate profits for them as well. Our platform is being created with the latest technology, namely TradingView, which is the universal top platform for traders, both Forex and cryptocurrency traders. So we are incorporating this in our user interface. Mobile and web trader and connection to liquidity providers. We target anyone in the trading world. So the Forex trading market is the largest market in the world, 2.4 quadrillion USD. The cryptocurrency market is relatively low, but it's growing slowly by slowly. So currently at 2, but perhaps at 10 in a few years, trillion. We compete directly with other proprietary trading firms, such as the ones you can see on the left, and also indirectly with investment platforms, such as Robinhood, and cryptocurrency exchanges. So by eliminating the challenge fee, we are creating here an unfair advantage, because anyone will be able to test their trading skills on our platform. And we only move on with those who pass our challenge and then start trading with live accounts and sharing the profits with them. The proprietary trading scoring platform that we are developing is showing to our visitors how our traders are actually performing. And this way, we are attracting crowdfunding for our traders in order to attract more capital to trade with other people's money. So our business model is pretty simple. Once our traders pass the challenge, we then enable them to trade with live accounts, real money, and we split the profit 50-50 with them, which is a pretty standard ratio out there. Currently, it's just myself. The other 2 people are fictionary. My goal, and right now I'm working with vendors for the technology platform and to set up the Forex and brokerage firm. And my goal is to bring on CTO and CFO later on with minority stakes. So currently, we are looking where to domicile the trading firm. We are looking at ideal domicile locations with low taxes but reputable locations. And the next quarter, in Q2, we are going to finish our trading scoring platform. And then we are going to connect our interface with a crowdfunding platform, Crowd Engine in particular, and we will be ready to launch our product at the end of this year. We are here at the pre-seed stage, and we are raising currently 100K that will give us a runway for the next 12 months. And this 100K will be at the pre-money valuation of 400. So this will give the investors a 20%. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Thank you for the presentation. So any questions from judges?
I think it's my turn to go first. So thank you so much for taking the time, George. I have to say this is not an area of speciality for me at all. So excuse me if any of the questions don't make sense. But yes, I guess just a longer term view, because obviously you're engaging with kind of human traders, and then there's a lot of move in the markets to kind of automatic trading, algorithmic trading, etc. What place do you see humans in the kind of trading value chain, and how will that kind of change over time as we see more and more automation?
So with my experience in trading, the best traders, the ones that generate the most profits, either for themselves or for investment banks, are the ones that use less and even no indicators or robots or algorithms. These are the traders that it's called price action trading. So it is any YouTube video that you will see, the best traders creating millions in profits are not using many of the indicators. The more indicators somebody uses, Perhaps it looks sophisticated, but the end results are not comparable. So it's not something that we are worried about. In the Forex market, it's actually people who click the button and not so much on a mobile phone, but mostly on a desktop.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then in terms of your team, you are talking about the two new roles. So obviously right now is a really hot market in terms of finding talent. So it'd be interesting to hear around how you're looking to acquire kind of those two key roles and kind of compete with the sea of talent out there. Sorry, sea of competition out there.
Yes, so my goal and the goal I had this idea is because I felt the pain of paying for the challenge, and later on when I learned that it's on a demo accounts who don't cost anything, it enforced the idea that this should exist out there. So it is possible to get started just with vendors, so technology vendor to incorporate the trading platform. The interface, user interface, is something I can do. I can start myself because I'm an engineer myself. The way so to create the MVP and get the first clients is something that it can be done just using the vendors. But of course, there has to be a team, and the way to attract talent is to show them what this can do for traders. It is a solution that I believe that traders are going to love, because there are traders anywhere, and you don't have to be a mathematician or an economist to do trading. So by letting them stock of equity from right now, the cap table is just me, is 100%. So by letting them get a minority equity stake, this is a way to approach them. And of course, in conjunction to letting investors, pre-seed and seed investors, join the cap table altogether.
Okay, cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, George, for the presentation and the answers. Like Edward, I'm not so fond of this area, but it appeared to me that you were highlighting several times the fact that you're not charging the initial fees, the trial fees. I understand that that's one of the main competitive advantages or differentiating factor from other platforms. How strong is a differentiating factor can it be in the mid to long term?
So in the mid to long term, we have added the capability of crowdfunding. It's something, both these features, the zero fee for challenge and the crowdfunding, is features that people want, but they don't exist. So all the prop trading firms, there are even prop trading firms that do not lead the traders to trade live. They only keep the challenge aspect of the whole game, and thus it is there's no real money anywhere. So by allowing anyone to trade on the challenge, I believe that this will bring on talent from anywhere, trading talent, and this trading talent we will be able to, just like eToro does in a way with social trading, we will be able to show to other investors the performance of the traders in Forex and cryptocurrency. And thus, this way, and connecting with the crowdfunding engine, bring crowdfunding to an area, Forex trading and cryptocurrency trading, which right now it will be the first to market. That's our main advantage. We'll be the first to do this.
I see. So, but what about the other your competitors? I mean, could they not take a similar approach on in terms of business model or pricing?
No. Why no? It is a hidden secret that all this is done on demo accounts. So I had this painful experience, and I had to learn about it by diving deep into this market. These trading firms are relying on the payments of the challenge. So in order for us to grow and become a profitable business, we rely on the talent side, and so we rely on bringing talented people on. Of course, a lot of them will not be talented, but the ones who pass the challenge will be talented, and then we will be sharing the profits with them. And it's a new approach. So all of you, as you said, are not familiar with this, but with the solution that we are building, you will have nothing to lose and test your skills into trading. And this is the approach: attract beginners, but also attract more advanced traders. This approach is something I haven't seen. Once we gain the momentum and the volume of the traders, we will capitalize also on the crowdfunding aspect, which is also something that I haven't seen. But I sense, I don't have proof, but I sense it is something that it's needed out there.
Great. Thanks a lot, George. Very interesting.
Thank you, everyone. Now I'd like to welcome Philip and David from Ghana. Philip is the CEO and founder of Inbox, and David is the co-founder and the business development director. Welcome, guys.
Hello. So David here.
Okay, David, welcome. Philip's not here. Okay, are you ready to pitch?
Yeah, we are. Okay, great. So Paybox is a UK registered integrated SME mobile growth engine. So Daku and Angela own a coffee shop in the heart of Accra. They promote their business online, but are struggling to integrate digital payments as well as cash flow solutions to structure their business and access business loans. Africa has over 200 million registered SMEs. Similar to Daku and Angela, 9 out of 10 of them struggle to grow to their full potential due to hassle and high cost of accessing integrated digital payment solutions, stock control tools, cash flow management tools, and quick business credit. So Paybox is building the best integrated African SME mobile growth engine for receiving and sending payments, managing cash flow, and accessing business credit hassle-free at competitive fees. So currently we have the SME app in PC and mobile view where our merchants are able to receive and send payments and manage their cash flow. We have the super wallet for the customers of our merchants. This is what they use in transactions with our merchants. As part of our roadmap, we are looking to deploy our agency banking utility services through our ePOS and then POS. We also look at offering alternative financial data services for financial services looking to provide a better experience for their customer. Next slide. So in Ghana and Africa, we see iPay, Interpay, Float, PaySwitch, and Flutterwave as our nearest competitors. But these are the areas where we stand out. So access to over 23 African countries via SMS, USSD, and APIs. We also offer a 10-minute SME digital suite setup and integration. We have the best rate currently, which is 1.9%. We offer quick business credit, stock control, and competitive SME insurance and cash flow management. Next slide. So for the mobile payment market in Africa, it is worth 500 billion USD. In Ghana, it is worth 100 billion USD. For us, for our first 12 months, we are looking to generate 1 million USD. So like I said, we are taking 1.9% as transaction fees currently for SME digital payment. We are looking to expand our revenue channels to trade settlement and remittance in the next 2 years. So what have we done so far? We've acquired over 2,000 signups, processed over 1,500 transactions. We have a monthly recurring revenue of 200 USD. And then, like I said, we are UK registered. So key to that, a partnership that we fostered. So Wigo is a last mile delivery service, who is actually our active paying merchant. ZPay is a major last mile processor in Africa. Wise Easy is our POS partner. Next slide. So what are we looking at over the next 3 years? So in our first year, we built our invoice. We are almost through building our ePOS setup. We've built the first phase of our mobile wallet. We fostered 3 out of the 8 partnerships. We are looking to acquire 5 more merchants to complete that. And we are raising a pre-seed equity funding of 500,000 USD. In the second year, we are looking to enhance payments and user experience through contactless payments. We also look to add stock management and insurance services, which is very key for SMEs in Africa. As we've studied and known through research that the insurance percentage is just 3 in Africa. So what are we looking at year 3? We are looking to offer AI, alternative financial data service, and to integrate crypto payments. Next slide. So for us, our ask, like I said previously, is 500,000 USD. 100,000 is to acquire more customers, and 120,000 is to strengthen our customer base, our customer service base, since we'll be acquiring more merchants. So for next slide. So on the team, we have Philip, the CEO, with 8+ years experience in web development, fintech, IoT, and blockchain. Myself, I'm a co-founder with 8+ years of experience in brand strategy and identity, fintech, and e-commerce. Isinam is our the third member of the team. She's also a co-founder with 7+ years of experience in SME consultancy, communication strategy, and e-commerce. So this is it for Paybox. We welcome your questions.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead this time. Thank you, Dave, for the presentation. I mean, Africa is not the geographic focus of our fund, unfortunately, because I think there are some very interesting opportunities out there. So first question, I wanted to understand a bit, forgive my lack of knowledge of the market there, but like go-to-market wise, how do you need to integrate to any ERP systems? Is there any easy way to implement your solution to in a scalable way?
Yes, of course. So we are looking at 3 ways. So first is by integrating APIs for the tech-savvy businesses. We're also looking at Africa. Africa uses the USSD mode of transaction. So that's the offline way of transaction. You know, Africa has issues with the internet. So we are also deploying the USSD, where you just dial a short code and then you have access to our services. Now, we are also looking at a place where you have the app, where you just sign up and you create an account and have access to our dashboard. So those are the 3 ways we know are very effective for Africa.
Okay. Understood. And the second question was like relating to your roadmap. So you are forecasting to introduce the crypto payments on year 3. Is that because of, resources? Obviously, you cannot do everything during the first year, or because the maturity of the market is not quite yet there?
Yeah, so since we are starting from Africa, we want to use the channels or the payment rails that are already established and then that the market is actually used to, and then we will migrate them to our crypto payments. So it's just based on the way we've structured our customer journey. Yeah, so we start from the known to the unknown.
Okay. And out of curiosity, is the crypto market already quite something in Ghana, at least?
Yes, I think, okay, so it's around 200 billion. Yeah, it's 200 billion.
Okay.
But then, interestingly, Africa has a sense with cryptocurrency. So this amount is actually backdoor. Let me say backdoor, not actually recognized. So let's say if the Africa opens the game, then we should be hitting the trillions. Yes.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Dave. I hand it to Edward.
Hi, and yeah, similar. We do invest globally, and actually we have a Founders Factory, our South Africa team who do fintech. So I think interesting as well with the focus there. You noted you had some early traction, so I'd be really interested to hear what your learnings had been from that early traction, and maybe some things that you didn't expect that you've kind of learned. That would be really interesting to hear.
Okay, so for us, the feedback we've gotten is that we've told them of what we want to do. Currently, what we are offering them is unique to what the other payment solutions are offering them. But what they are telling us is we should hurry up and then deploy the other products and features that we've told them about, because they really need it. So like the e-invoice like this, where payment just goes through a payment link, it's very unique in Africa. Like it's now catching up. And then they actually need it because it makes work like very easy for them. And then using the USSD and then SMS engine or rails to actually transact is also something that is now coming up. So they just want us to implement, and then they, let me say, grow their business faster. Yeah. So those are the feedbacks we've had so far.
Okay, awesome. And then the only other one for me was, I think you've talked around small businesses quite a lot. It'd be great to hear around what types of businesses have found the best fit with who's like the ideal customer who you're going after first. That'd be really interesting as well.
Yeah, so for us, currently we are looking at the tech savvy or tech structured small businesses. So those that need the APIs to integrate. So actually we have integrated our payments for their apps. So they are our first target. And then we go to those who are non-tech savvy, where they just create an account and then have access to the dashboard. They just click to activate the services. And then now we go to the informal sector, where we give them, let me say, voice or IoTs that they can use to transact. So in Africa, English is not our primary language. So then we have the devices that can communicate with the informal sector merchants in their local dialect. So that is the way we are moving.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I have a question. Is Alex still with us? Alex from TradeStop.
Yeah, Philip is here.
No, Philip. No, I was asking about Alex. Okay.
Oh, okay.
He did not join. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for the pitching session. It was a great one. The next step now is, like, investors, if you have any recommendation for startups to ameliorate their pitch decks or their pitching, we would love to hear from you. Any advice? Anything that may come to your mind that can help startups pitch better and ameliorate. They pitched really well, but maybe they can ameliorate something, or the general rule for startups. That would be great.
I think it's quite hard to give feedback on 7 very different decks in one go. Thought the pitches were great. I guess the only thing we always say internally is it's always good to focus on a kind of why now. Why is whatever you're doing relevant right now? What market forces are changing, or what thing has changed that means that people have had this idea previously but they couldn't do it, or something along those lines. But that's very generic feedback. I always think it's interesting. But yeah, for that number of different pitches, sorry if that's not that helpful. I don't know. Giovanni, just anything better?
I think Edward, totally agree. I think another very generic feedback, but probably it could be useful in when you talk about very specific industries, is like the problem the issue, which is, I mean, it's pretty obvious and basic thing to include in the pitches. Sometimes during the course of these pitches, which were all very good, I felt kind of a bit more of a background of the the space where you guys are operating. What are the real challenges there? That makes it much easier for us to follow a pitch in 5 minutes and then kind of focus on what to expect later on.
Great.
So yeah, also very generic feedback, but yeah, honestly, all great pitches.
Thank you so much for the feedbacks. And I guess everyone today became an expert in fintech. So I guess we will have certificates at the end of the session. And I just want to thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, startups, for the presentations. Investors, thank you for making the session very interactive. And I hope to hear from you some good news. And I'll be in touch with everyone after the session. Specifically investors, but startups, of course, if you have good news or if you need anything from me, I'd be happy to help. As discussed, there are 3 other investors that are interested in checking your decks. 2 of them were watching. And I mean, I wish you all a great end of day, and thank you. And thank you everyone for the session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Goodbye.
So, bye.
Bye.
Bye.